They say time is money, but they're wrong. Time is life. And the biggest mistake young people make is thinking they have more of it than they do. I'm still young. 4 words that sound innocent, hopeful, carefree, but whispered too long, and they become a lullaby that rocks dreams to sleep. You see, when you're young, time feels infinite. You've got energy, ideas, ambition. You chase what feels good. You do what you love. But that's the trap. Because the enemy of greatness isn't failure. It's comfort. It's chasing pleasure over purpose. It's believing you have time to waste, when in reality, time is the most unforgiving debt you'll ever owe. You won't feel it now. Not when you're partying on weekends, scrolling through 1,000 distractions, or telling yourself, I'll figure it out later. But later comes. It always comes. And when it does, you'll either be reaping the rewards of seeds you planted with intention, or living in the wilderness of choices you never made. This isn't about fear, it's about urgency. It's about recognizing that youth is not your superpower unless you use it. Because if you don't, it becomes your biggest liability. Let me be clear. The most dangerous thing a young person can say is, I want to do what I love. You hear it everywhere. College kids, creatives, influencers. I just want to follow my passion. But they don't realize, passion is a flame. Purpose is a fire. Passion fades when it's hard. Purpose keeps burning. Do you think Thomas Edison loved failing over 10,000 times trying to invent the light bulb? Do you think Henry Ford enjoyed going bankrupt 5 times before building his empire? No, they didn't chase what they loved. They chased what mattered. Purpose isn't always sexy. Sometimes it looks like studying taxes instead of TikTok. Sometimes it feels like rejection, discipline, sleepless nights, and sacrifice. But the people who get to live how they want tomorrow are the ones willing to do what others won't today. Because here's the truth, no one wants to say out loud. Doing what you love doesn't make you rich. Learning what you hate might. Most people won't tell you that. They'll sell you the dream. Start a business around your passion. Make 6 figures doing what you love. But the harsh reality is this. You can't skip the pain. You can't shortcut the price. And if you only do what feels good, you'll never do what's great. See, when I was in my 20s, I didn't chase the spotlight. I chased the blueprint. I learned about debt, taxes, lawsuits, insurance, things that made my head hurt, things that bored me, things I didn't want to do. But I knew this. If I mastered the things others ran from, I could build the life others only dreamed of. I studied wealth like a religion, not the illusion of wealth, not flashy cars and rented lifestyles, but true wealth. Wealth that works while you sleep. Wealth that pays you even when you're not posting, performing, or pretending. Wealth that doesn't need permission. And that brings me to the real mistake. Young people are taught to focus on income when they should be obsessed with assets. Money earned is taxed. Money invested multiplies. The employee gets taxed the most, 40%, sometimes more. The self-employed, 60%. But the investor, the one who builds or owns the asset, they can legally pay 0. Think about that. Your job pays you once. Your assets pay you forever. And yet the masses still chase jobs, titles, promotions. They want a career. But let me tell you something. A career is a leash with a gold collar. They sell you stability. But what they really offer is slavery. Because the moment you stop trading time for money, your income dies. You're not free if your money stops when you do. So while your friends were dreaming of doing what they love, I was building a foundation to own my time. I wasn't passionate about accounting. I hated dealing with lawyers. But I did it because I knew freedom is bought, not wished for. People say money doesn't matter, but only those who've never had to choose between paying rent and feeding their families say that. Money is not the root of evil. Greed is. Money is a mirror. It reveals who you are. And if you want to do good in this world, you need resources. You need reach. You need leverage. Assets give you that. So I chose to invest in what I loved instead of do what I loved. Let that sink in. I didn't build my life on my feelings. I built it on strategy, I bought businesses, I built systems, I studied the game of money like my life depended on it, because it did. And now I get to do what I love, because I earned the right to. Most people get it backwards. They want the lifestyle before the sacrifice. They want passive income without putting in active intelligence. But the world doesn't pay you for your dreams. It pays you for your value, for what you build, for what you own. Steve Jobs didn't just love computers. He built a company that owned the future. Jeff Bezos didn't just love books. He saw a new way to deliver value, and he scaled it relentlessly. Warren Buffett doesn't get excited by Wall Street hype. He buys businesses. He buys ownership. That's the difference. Ownership is the goal. Control is the reward. So when you say, I want to do what I love, ask yourself this instead. What kind of life do I want to live? And what assets will buy me that life? Because once you have assets, you don't just work for money, money works for you. And that, young warrior, is the ultimate power. They have all the leverage, all the freedom, all the time, because they did what most never will. They stopped chasing feelings and started chasing freedom. Let me ask you this. Do you want to feel good, or do you want to be free? There's a difference. See, feeling good is cheap. It's a dopamine hit, a scroll, a like, a Friday night escape. But freedom is earned. It's built brick by painful brick. It requires warrior-level clarity, discipline in the dark, sacrifice when nobody's clapping, and action when no one's watching. Young people today, you're told to find your passion. But what if passion isn't found? What if it's forged? Forged in the fire of responsibility, in the furnace of struggle, where you learn how the system works, not just how to feel inspired in a moment. You learn that freedom is not given, it's built. And building requires bricks, skills, assets, knowledge, systems, and time. Most people never get free because they never build those bricks. They're too busy building dreams out of sand, hobbies with no profit, passions with no leverage, and careers that have expiration dates. They're renting their time, not owning their value. Let's be clear, you're not too young. You're too distracted. You're not too early. You're just playing by the wrong rule book. And the world, it's not waiting for you to grow up. It's moving with or without you. That's the trap. That's the biggest mistake young people make. Believing that time is loyal. Time is not loyal. It's merciless. And it's always counting down. You think you have time? Ask a 70-year-old who has regrets what time means. They'll tell you every second is a currency. And when you're young, that currency feels infinite. But it's not. And while you're busy figuring it out, the system is figuring you in. You're already being positioned, labeled, categorized, taxed, measured, monetized. You're already being trained to chase a paycheck, not build a pipeline. To consume, not create. To work, not own. But here's the awakening. You are the asset, not your job, not your degree, not your resume. You. And the sooner you start treating yourself like the business you are, the faster you exit the maze. Think like a producer, not a consumer. Speak like a leader, not an employee. Act like an owner, not a worker. Because let me tell you, the system is built on owners. The wealthy, they're not exchanging time for money. They're exchanging vision for assets, purpose for profit, risk for reward. They understood something early, that the pain of learning today is cheaper than the price of regret tomorrow. So yes, you might have to study tax law when you'd rather binge watch Netflix. Yes, you might have to spend weekends learning real estate strategy while your friends party on borrowed credit. Yes, you might have to lose sleep reading about debt structures, LLCs, capital gains, and insurance while others are sleeping comfortably in ignorance. But when you're free, you'll sleep like a lion, not a sheep. When you're free, you'll walk different, talk different. You'll stop asking for permission and start writing the rules. Because you didn't chase passion, you chased purpose. You didn't follow feelings, you followed freedom. You didn't do what was easy, you did what was necessary. Understand this, the most successful people in history, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Edison, Jobs, Oprah, Musk, They didn't wait to feel ready. They moved in uncertainty. They built before it made sense. They planted before they saw results. Because they understood, seeds don't grow in comfort. They grow in faith. And faith without action is just noise. So you want to do what you love? Good. Then earn the right to do what you love by doing what you hate. Learn taxes, learn debt, learn the legal system, build the business, buy the building, take the punches, read the fine print, make the sacrifices. Because that's what builds the empire. That's what puts you in the 1%. Not hashtags, not vibes, not vision boards. Discipline, repetition, ownership, investment, relentless action. The real power is in mastering the boring stuff until it produces the extraordinary. Don't be another young dreamer with no assets. Be the builder, be the architect, be the one they say was always different. Not because you had more talent, but because you had more clarity. Because while they were looking for what to love, you were building what would love you back. Cash flow, time, leverage, ownership, freedom. You were building a life no one could fire you from. So I'll ask you again, do you want to feel good now? Or do you want to be free forever? Because here's the truth nobody tells you. You can't motivate your way to wealth, you must build your way there. Motivation fades, algorithms change, attention shifts. But assets stay. Cash flow doesn't sleep. Equity doesn't expire. Ownership doesn't need applause. And here's the kicker. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to commit. Commit to mastering what others avoid. Commit to playing the long game. Commit to being boring now so you can be unbelievable later. Let the world chase trends. Let them flex today's paycheck. You're buying tomorrow's freedom. You're reading contracts, studying markets, investing in skills. You're learning the game, not just playing it. You understand now, the biggest risk isn't failing, it's staying average. Because average is expensive. Average gets taxed the hardest. Average retires last. Average owns nothing and owes everything. And when crisis hits, average gets crushed. So stop aiming to be average in a system that's rigged against the average. Build leverage. Learn how money actually works. Understand inflation, taxes, debt. Turn your income into ownership. Turn your job into capital. Turn your knowledge into leverage. Because someday life will punch you in the face. And when it does, it won't ask if you're passionate. It won't care about your intentions. It'll ask you one thing. Did you prepare? Did you build something that protects your family? Did you learn how to make money move, even when you're not working? Did you invest your youth into tools that compound forever? Or did you waste it chasing likes, comfort, and distractions? Because here's the brutal truth. The price of discipline now is always cheaper than the price of regret later. And regret doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care how nice your intentions were. Regret only asks, why didn't you start when you had the chance? So if you're young, hear this. You are not behind, you are not late, but you are accountable. You were born into the most connected, automated, opportunity-rich world in human history. You can build a global business from your bedroom. You can own digital assets that cash flow while you sleep. You can access billion-dollar knowledge for free on the internet. So you don't need permission. You don't need a fancy degree. You don't need followers. You just need hunger. You need focus. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm done being a consumer. I'm building, I'm becoming, I'm taking the long road now so I never have to take the hard road later. Because one day you'll look back and you'll remember the nights you stayed up learning instead of scrolling, the weekends you sacrificed, the noise you silenced, the people you outgrew, the fear you pushed through. And you'll say, that's the moment everything changed. Not the day you got rich, not the day your channel blew up, not the day they finally believed in you, the day you believed in yourself. When nobody clapped, when nobody noticed, and you still showed up. You showed up for your future. You showed up for your freedom. You showed up for the version of you that refused to settle. Because deep down you knew, if you don't own, you'll be owned. If you don't create, you'll consume. If you don't grow, you'll decay. And if you wait for the perfect time, you'll wait forever. There is no perfect time. There's only now. Now, when you're unknown. Now, when you're unproven. Now, when it's hard. Now, when the world keeps saying, just be realistic. But realistic never built empires. Realistic never bought freedom. Realistic never changed a family's destiny. That takes courage. That takes vision. That takes the quiet decision to never be poor again. So here's your wake-up call. Burn the backup plan. Stop negotiating with laziness. Stop looking for motivation and start building systems. Stop watching others live your dreams. This is your shot, not someday, not after the economy improves, not when you feel ready. Now, right now, someone with half your talent is creating wealth because they stopped waiting. Right now, someone is buying your time, your freedom, your future, because you're too afraid to take control. But you're not afraid anymore. Not after this. You're done being poor, not just in money, but in mindset. You're done playing defense. You're done playing small. You're done waiting for someone to choose you. You choose you. You choose discipline. You choose education. You choose asset over ego, freedom over comfort, ownership over applause. And that decision, that's the day poverty dies. That's the day your legacy begins. So go, building, and remember this. You were never meant to be average. You were built for more. And now you know it.